Alex, what did you tag me in? I may have addressed it, I may not. um, I'm going live today. I'm on YouTube, on the That's Not a Thing show, and streaming live on TikTok. Um, go look. Thank you, Corey. Hi, Jill. Where is. Okay. Hi, Lori. Andrea, hi. Spartan Fred, how are you, sir? Ryan, good to see you again. Good afternoon, everyone. Super Troopy will be happy. Let me turn my volume up, Jill. I'm sorry. How are you, Jill?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. You having a good day?
Yeah, yeah, it's not too bad.
How cold is it at your house?
It's 20 degrees,
20 degrees. It's like 7 here.
so it's warmer here.
Hi, BP. So it's 20 degrees at Jill's. It's like 7 at Mr. Global's. That's great. And, these temperatures, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cover, I'm going to pull this up here. I was going to do Project Gas Buggy first, but since we talked about temperatures a little bit, let's go ahead and look at this. That is natural gas prices today. If you're looking at my screen, and they're actually higher than this. This was like an hour ago, and they've gone up more. They're about $4. And so here's the thing: if you live in an area where you've been experiencing really high utility bills lately, that is about to get significantly worse. Your utility bills are about to get significantly worse. If you live in an area where your utility bills have been rising, that's about to get significantly worse. And let me tell you what's going on. We have this week's cold temperatures, record cold temperatures, all across the country. Okay? That is why I have to do everything backwards on this damn screen. That is why these natural gas prices are doing this today. There's an inventory storage report coming out on the 20th. Is today the 18th or the 19th? Anyway, don't matter. There's an inventory storage report coming out on the 20th. And these gas prices are doing this because somebody knows something about that report that's about to come out. Okay. And so here's where we're at. We are currently about 250 billion cubic feet in natural gas supplies and inventory below the 5-year average. Okay. That is causing, these are natural gas prices, okay? These are natural gas prices. Natural gas is used to make a ton of electricity in this country. That's why people's utility bills are about to go through the roof. One, record cold temperatures. They're going to be consuming a ton of energy, a ton of power, electricity. Two, natural gas is going up. And there's multiple things here at play. Okay, we're 250 billion cubic feet below the 5-year average, and that's within a range, right? First time we've been below that since 2022. First time we've been below that since 2022. If we fall below the range, okay, we're below the average, but there's a range. Probably a couple of 100 billion cubic feet range there. If we fall out of the range completely, natural gas prices are going to skyrocket. So we have record cold temperatures, which is going to be a huge draw on natural gas inventories, which is going to cause prices to spike. And then locally, in local areas where it is so cold, that they can't deliver, that they have delivery problems of the natural gas or the electricity or anything else, you could see localized natural gas prices in certain locales easily reach $40 or $50 an MCF, okay, instead of 4. Are you following me here? So there are areas of the country that are going to experience natural gas prices significantly higher than what you're looking at here. And the people in those areas, their utility bills, and I'm telling everyone, conserve as much energy as you can. Try not to use any more electricity or natural gas than you have to, because this week, day after day after day of record cold temperatures, if you're one of those people that have been talking about your electric bill going from $300 a month to $1,000, get ready, because it's about to be. It could be $1,500. It could be $2,000. And I'm not saying that to be alarmist. I'm saying that to prepare you and do whatever you can to save yourself hundreds of dollars on your electric bill, because this is all happening right now, and I've been telling people for a long time that something like this was coming. Okay. Now, the good thing is this is likely a temporary thing, and once we get into more moderate temperatures, we'll see these natural gas prices fall. We just will. We just will. It's kind of like gasoline. There's times of the year where it's much more expensive and times of the year where it's cheaper. Right now, natural gas is expensive, and we're going to need some moderate, milder temperatures to get this in check, right? So if you're on natural gas, if you're on electricity that is generated by natural gas, unless you're just made out of money and don't care, about another $500 flying out of your wallet this month, I strongly could recommend you figure out ways to conserve some energy. Because this right here is day one. Day 2 is coming, and day 3 is coming, and we don't know what that's going to do, but they're obviously seeing something in that storage report. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh man, we're going to bring that back down. Let's look at oil prices. Look at oil prices. Oil prices are up today. Where's Bob? Anybody seen Bob? Because oil's up today. Have you seen Bob, Jill?
I have not seen Bob, but if anybody is mutuals with Bob or anything like that, share the live with him.
I just want Bob to see what it looks like when oil prices rise. Oil is up today 1.5%. Why is oil up today? Ukraine had a pipeline in Kazakhstan that delivers oil to Russia. And it's a big pipeline, and they're saying it's going to be down for months. That's why oil's up today. Ukraine hit a pipeline that provides oil to Russia from Kazakhstan. Yes, Lucius, you are right. I can't say how happy it makes me that Ukraine is going after infrastructure, energy infrastructure. This is day one. They should have been doing this from day one. Like, you always hit the energy infrastructure in a deal like this. And one of the problems with the United States sort of funding or assisting, I hate to use the word funding because a lot of it is military equipment. One of the problems with that is that we have kind of dictated to them a lot of the things they can do, and we didn't allow them to hit. The Biden administration did not allow Ukraine to hit Russian energy infrastructure because they were sensitive to oil prices and gas prices. This is the ugliness of war. Like, they should have been able to do that from day one. I mean, this is what happens when politics and this type of conflict interferes with each other, you know. So Ukraine had their hands tied for a long time. They could have been nailing this energy infrastructure from day one, but Joe Biden wouldn't let them do it because Americans were pissed off about gas prices. That is just a horrible decision. Just, you know, take your politics out of it. Let them do what they got to do. They should have been doing this in 2022. They should have been doing this day one. Anyway, just an opinion. Just an opinion. Let's get rid of that. You guys see this right here? I'm going to blow this up a little bit more so you can see it. Oh. I told you guys yesterday we were going to talk about this. This is Project Gas Buggy. Some of you have probably heard of Project Gas Buggy. Some of you maybe not, right? Project Gas Buggy was an underground nuclear detonation carried out by the United States Atomic Energy Commission. December 10th, 1967. What were we trying to do? What were we trying to do? We were trying to frack. We were trying to frack and fracture wells with nuclear weapons. And at the end of this, I'm going to tell you why it failed, and you're going to be like, well, yeah, that makes sense. We do a lot of things in this country. We have done a lot of things in this country that just seem... The reasons they fail should have been so obvious at the beginning, right? On December the 10th, 1967, rural northwest New Mexico, part of Operation Plowshare, a program designed to find peaceful uses for nuclear explosions. Gas Buggy was carried out by the Lawrence Livermore Radiation Laboratory and El Paso Natural Gas. I don't know if any of you guys remember El Paso Natural Gas, but it was huge. When I was a kid, El Paso was huge. With funding from the Atomic Energy Commission, its purpose was to determine if nuclear explosions could be used in fracturing rock formations for natural gas extraction. A 29 kiloton device. I don't remember what size Fat Boy was. Maybe that'll come to me. 29 kiloton. Placed at a depth of 4,227 feet underground, well was backfilled before the device was detonated. That was a big mistake, right? They deployed the atomic bomb and then they filled the well up with dirt because they were scared to death. Like they didn't know what was going to happen. The detonation produced a rubble chimney that was 80 feet wide, 335 feet high. After initial surface cleanup effort, the site sat idle for over a decade. So they did this and then it sat there for 10 years, over 10 years. Following Gas Buggy, 2 subsequent nuclear explosion fracturing experiments were conducted in western Colorado in an effort to refine the technique. The Project Rulison in 69 and Project Rio Blanco in 73. Both cases, and this is why it failed. In both cases, the gas was far too radioactive to be used in a commercial or residential application. Like it never occurred to them that by fracking with nuclear bombs, the gas would then be radioactive and useless. Like that never occurred to them. That reminds me of the earthquakes and injection wells and dumping 100,000 barrels of water a day into fault lines and then being shocked that we're having earthquakes. Reminds me of that. In 2011, the Department of Energy wrote, it was estimated that even after 25 years of gas production, all of the natural gas, only 15 to 40% of the investment could possibly even be recovered. But it wouldn't matter because all the gas was radioactive anyway. That's the kind of shit we do. Jim says nukes can only be used to redirect hurricanes. For you folks on TikTok, I am streaming. I have some visuals here on YouTube. Um, this is where my show is. The chat is much slower on YouTube, so if you have questions, that's really a better place to ask. You go follow me on YouTube, Mr. Global. Bob would agree, Victoria says. So, where were we? Yeah. Utilities, oil, project, gas buggy, Operation Gas Buggy. Yeah, it seems so simple. Like I surely they had discussions. Surely the subject came up, hey, what if the gas is radioactive? Maybe they knew it was radioactive and they thought there was some way they could clean it up or I don't know. Thank you, Real Bill. Are we at drill, baby, drill yet? Jeffrey wants to know if we're at drill, baby, drill yet. How about no? How about no? We're not. No, that's not a thing. Current rig count is at 588. Yeah. No, we have not entered. We have not entered the drill, baby, drill phase. That's no. We have not. Oh, Jedi, $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Jedi. Thoughts on Brazil joining OPEC Plus today? Great question. The government of Brazil approved joining of OPEC Plus. I would expect to see more nations do this. I'm I I'm not a fan of that, honestly. But that's because I've been hoping for the United States to establish something similar to OPEC Plus on our side of the world, with North American, South American countries involved, with Australia involved, and I think we need to do it. And so it doesn't. This doesn't really harm us in any way, but it certainly makes OPEC Plus a little stronger. Mexico is already a part of OPEC Plus as well, but Mexico typically doesn't always, agree with the things that OPEC Plus wants to do. So we'll have to see moving forward what how Brazil falls in line with the things OPEC and OPEC Plus do. Thanks so much for the super chat, Jedi. Does radioactive gas equal more horsepower? I don't think so. Yeah, that's no. I mean, I'm not an expert on radiation by any means, but I don't think so. Jill, do you know anything about radiation?
Unfortunately, I probably should know more after, living in Pennsylvania, but I do not.
Why would you know more living in Pennsylvania? What am I
I
missing?
should know more.
I don't understand. What does Pennsylvania have to do with it?
Well,
You got
the 5
radiation?
Mile Island, right?
Huh?
I should know more about radiation and how it works.
Yeah.
I choose not to, though. I know a little.
If the U.S. forms a similar cartel that will require nationalization, no. Wanting to know why you sidelined your vote, pal. I have no idea what you're talking about. What does that even mean? Sidelined my vote. You know what that means, Jill?
Sidelined your vote?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I don't know. Who said that?
Wait, here he is. You said you did not vote for Kamala. I never said that. I did vote for Kamala. And I never said I didn't. I don't understand why people on the internet have such a hard time comprehending basic words where you take some words and you put them together to form a sentence. Some of you fucking people have no clue how to comprehend anything. And so I would like for you to show me where I said I didn't. Since you're on my live running your fucking cock holster, I want you to go find where I said that and show it to me. Pal. Go find it. Fucking dipshit.
I'm sorry.
God, people are so fucking dumb,
So,
Am I defensive? You're accusing me of something on my live. I'm not being defensive. You're a fucking idiot. Again.
is this going on TikTok?
Yes.
Because I could, okay.
Where else
That
would it be
makes
going
more
on?
sense.
Where else would it be going on?
Yeah, true.
Oh, look, he's a photographer and a dog lover. Oh. Hey, this ain't fucking, Bye, Wallen.
I was just looking for him so I could do that. Did you already do it?
Goodbye.
Did you already do it?
Take your camera and your retarded ass fucking dog and get off my live. All right. I don't normally use that word, but I'm a little upset, Jill.
I know you are, but did you already get rid of him?
I got rid of him.
Okay, because I was about to do that. I was searching in the comments.
Okay. My apologies to my people on YouTube. Had to deal with a troll. Yeah, get out of my yard.
So, Gen X.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
It's not the dog's fault he's slow. I'm telling you right now, I know people like him and their dogs are just like them. Their dogs are just like them. Their dogs are stupid too.
No.
Yes.
No, that's not true.
No, it
Sometimes
is
some
true.
dogs are really well behaved.
Their dogs behave just like their owners. They
No,
they learn from them. Look, Aloysius right here says dogs learn from their owners.
they do.
So
They
there's
do.
someone here that agrees with me.
But somebody could, re-raise that dog and it would be a great dog.
Well, somebody could re-raise that guy, but that's not happening, right?
No, nobody can re-raise that guy. I guess if he got a wife, right?
Yeah. He needs a good woman to, line his ass out because he's got issues. Or man, whatever, man, woman, I don't care. Somebody needs to get that job done though.
Agree, VC. A VC said this is why abortion should not have limits.
Frank, you got blocked from the TikTok live. I was just watching and minding my business. Frank, I didn't block you, and Jill
I
didn't
didn't
block
either.
you.
Oh, well, Frank, if
How do I
you're
go?
here,
How do I go find Frank?
well, if Frank is here, how's he commenting if he's blocked?
No, he's on YouTube.
Oh, he's on YouTube?
Yeah,
Okay, let me find him.
Frank Redding. Michael says that guy's too far gone. I agree.
Because I didn't block anyone. Let me go see if he's in the. Is it the same name, Frank? Are you under the same name on there?
Jill,
Yes.
I'm gonna shut this live off and restart it.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Good
shut this
idea
off.
anyway, because I don't have mod powers.
You don't?
Nope, took it from me.
Huh?
No, they took it from me. I
Who?
have to reset.
Who is they?
TikTok.
Why?
Because they do that every now and then.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna close this live and restart it back up.
Yes.
Definitely. YouTube crowd is cooler, you know.
Backable?
Definitely so. Get this crap started again. Get off of there. Okay. How cold is it in how cold is it where you live? It's 7 degrees. I'm in Oklahoma. It's apparently it's 20 degrees in PA. How cold it is at your house? My grand dog takes after his mother. My daughter, a complete genius. He is so smart. Welcome back, Jill. Do you have mod powers now? Do I need to do something?
No, you don't need to do anything. I cleared my cache. So I gotta go find and see if I can find that person.
10 degrees in Chicago. It's 11 degrees Celsius where Aloysius is. Negative 25. Big Daddy. It's cold, dude. It's cold where you're at. Andrea, negative 10 Celsius, Ontario. Man. Have I been out today? I have been out today. Roads are pretty slick where I live, but they're, it's passable. You just slow down a little bit. 49 degrees in Texas, 75 South Texas, 12 degrees New Hampshire, 5 below with wind chill, negative 20 in Toronto. We do.
So did Frank give his TikTok name?
I believe it was Reading 79.
Okay, I'm looking now. Thank you.
We do Celsius here in Canada, Daria. Yeah, I know. uh, I I wish we did it here as well, Daria. It's so simple. Wow. Anyway, -7 feels like -19. That's -2 Fahrenheit. -21 and -34 with wind chill in Winnipeg. Holy cow. 30 degrees in Virginia. It's cold. I read that the asphalt in North Dakota was failing from the cold temperatures. The asphalt on the roads was like failing, like falling apart. Stuck at Penn and Memorial. I know where that is. For an hour. Wow. Did I see the Nate? Is it Bargatz? Um, I've never known how to enunciate that guy's last name. Is it Bargatz? Um, George Washington sketch about weights and measures. Was that on Saturday Night Live? I I honestly don't know if I saw that or not. Bargatze. It is Bargatze. Okay. That's what I was wondering. So,
I don't see Reading 79 on there at all. If he got blocked today, it should definitely be at the top. Now, I don't think that's mods go so far down. So, I looked twice.
yeah, asphalt is significantly softer than concrete. Not only is it softer, it's got a lot of space and voids in it that concrete doesn't have. Any thoughts on the future of the natural gas industry? It's going to be pretty healthy moving forward for the next, I don't know, a long time in the United States. It's going to be good. Frank Schaefer says it's 24 degrees outside Philly, feels like 11. Hi, Rusty. I will check that out, Daria. Hi, Jimmy Jambo. Has Donald Trump done anything to help the U.S. gas industry? He's done something to help natural gas. He lifted the export pause on new facilities. Other than that, that's about the only thing he's done of any substance. Everything else is pretty much like kind of political posturing. Like it doesn't really have any teeth to it. But he lifted the pause. But with that being said, the pause had already been overturned by a judge, and the Biden administration stayed that decision, which meant they agreed with that decision, which meant the pause was already lifted when Donald Trump lifted the pause. Like it was already done. So in many ways, that was kind of a political thing too, because you know what I mean. But yeah, what does the existing Keystone Pipeline do? Well, it's a highway. It's a highway for oil coming from Canada to the Gulf Coast of the United States. And it's not, okay, it's not tar sands. You cannot put tar sands in a pipeline. It doesn't, yeah. Now, it comes from tar sands, but it's not tar sands. Thank you, Arbin. Daria is going to go meditate. Well, um, enjoy your meditation time, Daria. The people in my chat are funny. Thank you, Burley. So, getting caught up on this, reading a little more detail on the Brazil joining OPEC Plus, and this is pretty important. Part of the deal was that Brazil would not have any binding obligation to participate in production cuts, and that's um the deal Mexico got to. So, they become a member of OPEC Plus, but they have no binding obligation to really do anything. Brazil will use OPEC Plus as a forum for discussing strategies among oil producing countries. Well, like Mexico then. Senor Ramos, gas controller here. Thank you for telling people about natural gas storage inventories. Absolutely. Is any country building a new refinery? Russia's going to be building some new refineries because the ones they had, um, or some of the ones they had, they don't have anymore because um, some shit happened. Trying to be careful what I say on TikTok now that I got flagged. Captain Fantastic, thank you for the $1 super chat. I appreciate it, brother. I will never forget about a guy who mispronounced a word 25 years ago. I wonder which guy and which word. Is Trump going to get Putin to flood the market? No, Donald Trump is not going to get Vladimir Putin to do anything. Yeah, that's not a thing. Vladimir Putin's going to get Donald Trump to do some stuff. But Donald Trump's not going to get Vladimir Putin to do anything. I'm over here racing my moderator to block people.
Hey, yeah, because I got this. I was typing up, you know.
I know you got it. Thank you, Treader. Scott says true. Putin spent 20 years getting to this point. Yeah, he has. Americans don't think that way. Americans don't think that way at all. It doesn't occur to them that what is happening right now has been in the works for decades. It doesn't occur to them that when they go out and vote for somebody, that's been influenced by someone else. Why didn't Obama and the Democrats act sooner to impede Russian misinformation and meddling? Well, why would they? The Democrats don't do anything. I'm going to answer your question with this question. What are the Democrats doing right now? With everything that's going on, what are the Democrats doing right now? Seriously, what are they doing? They're doing nothing. Nothing, right? It's because they're weak. The Democrats are unbelievably weak. Very weak. And they fall, we fault Republicans a lot for the things they fall for. Democrats fall for a lot of really dumb shit. They do. They do. AOC speaks out. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, what is the party? What is the party doing?
Can I butt in for a second? So, what did the party do when Nixon did what he did, right? Because people are saying, what can they do? Well, what did the party do when Nixon did what he did?
What did they do, Jill?
They took care of business. They stopped him from doing it.
If if you stand back and you just look at American politics, just set aside your feelings, set aside what side you lean towards, and just stand back from like an independent perspective and just look. Um, the Republicans are running circles around Democrats. The Republicans are running circles around them, and they're beating them like a drum on a daily basis, and they have been for a long time. And people say, and I agree, Jingleheimer Schmack says this is not the Republican Party. That is true. That is true. But you know what? It's also not the Democratic Party. It's not. This is not the Democratic Party either. Neither one of these parties are the party. Neither one of these, and the Democrats are so worried about tradition and 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 what's proper, and constantly adjusting their tie or whatever, you know, dumb shit. I don't. If you close your eyes and listen to Hakeem Jeffries talk, I have nothing against Hakeem Jeffries, but if you close your eyes, it sounds like Barack Obama talking. And I ask myself, is he impersonating Barack Obama? Like, if you listen to his tone and cadence and voice, close your eyes. Are you listening to Hakeem Jeffries or Barack Obama? And that communication style, which he is speaking that way because it sounds professional and it's a more traditional way of speaking. The way he speaks and delivers a message tells you everything about the Democrats. He sounds like he's a politician from 40 years ago. He sounds very disciplined, very professional. And, that's great, but it's just the way he sounds. It doesn't equate to anything getting done. And people love him because of his oratory skills. Well, your oratory skills can only get you so far. What are you going to do? You know, I don't care what you sound like. What are you going to do? That's what I care about. You know, I think Jeffries needs to sound like he needs to relax. That's what he, you know. Um, Alicia says it doesn't resonate. Well, it does resonate with some people, but it doesn't resonate with the majority, right? They're very slow to adapt to the changing political landscape in the United States, and they're sticking to what they know, and I get that. But in the process of sticking to what they know, they're getting the shit kicked out of them. And the same Where are the independents? Where are the independents? With the majority in Congress, Democrats can't do anything. And that's the problem right there. That is the problem, is that mindset. Well, the other side has the majority. There's nothing we can do, so we're just going to sit down and shut up. They have the majority. They have the majority. There's nothing we can do. Is that what, who made that video? Is that what Newt Gingrich did when Democrats had an unbelievable majority over Republicans? Is that what Newt Gingrich did? No. He put together the contract for America, and he took it back, right? He took it back. He didn't say, well, they have the majority, there's nothing we can do. That right there is where Democrats fail constantly. And another reason Democrats fail constantly is because Democrats themselves don't hold them accountable for their failures. Thank you, M Stock. What would happen if the U.S. nationalized fossil fuels? So first of all, that would be a very expensive endeavor. I, we can't afford that. That's that's trillions of dollars the United States would have to come up with. And oh, there was another thing I thought of that I read last night. I'm gonna look it up here because find it here so I make sure I get the number exactly right. BP to lay off 4,700 employees, 3,000 contract positions, in an overall effort to cut $2 billion from their cost by 2026. So Chevron, BP, Shell, yes, Shell did lay off quite a few people. I had a couple of them in my live yesterday. CyberDoc is disappointed that Trump didn't appoint Tucker Carlson to run oil and gas. CyberDoc is joking, by the way. That is true. Oil is up. Tucker is busy ball tanning. Is ball tanning a thing? Yeah, Shell is reducing its workforce as well by 20% by the end of 2025. And, that's a thing that started end of last year. Ball tanning is Tucker's thing. Wow. I did not know that. Tucker did a show about tanning his balls. Okay. I'm not doing that. Is there an oil price you look at specifically? I typically look at WTI. Um, yeah, I look at WTI. I don't look at Brent um, because we don't sell Brent here in the U.S. Oh, JJ, thank you for bringing that up. When are you and Will Westmoreland going to do a live together? So that's tomorrow. Tomorrow here, 2 o'clock, I'm going to interview Will Westmoreland. Um, yeah, I completely forgot about that. Thanks for bringing it up, JJ. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Central Standard Time, I'm going to interview Will Westmoreland. He is known as the Back 40 on YouTube. He is Will Westmoreland on TikTok. That's tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And what that means, Jill, is that tomorrow, because you cannot do this live on the computer on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
So tomorrow I'll be live on my phone on YouTube and live on my iPad on TikTok.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask. But you answered it, so.
I'm also going to be interviewing Tom Powell pretty soon, and also planning something with Hawk pretty soon. And I'm putting a bunch of feelers out. Could Canada raise their oil prices to match global prices sold to the United States? In order to do that, because their oil is sold on an exchange, their oil is put out on the market, and basically they get what people will pay for it. So, they're going to have to get their oil to more markets globally to increase the price of it. They can't just say we're going to charge more for it. That's not how it works. Thank you, Yakety and Scott and JJ. Once again, thank you for reminding me. Please run your hands through your hair when interviewing Hawk. I'm considering wearing my Hawk wig. I'm considering wearing my Hawk wig, and if I do, I'll just do it every time he does it. How much capacity does Canada have to move their oil to the coast? 900,000 barrels a day, which is roughly what? Maybe 17% of their total production. I need to glue my wig on. I'm not gluing anything to my head. I'm not. That's not a thing. I'm not gluing anything to my head.
Well, in order to rub it the whole time, it has to be glued to your head.
Uh, I'll figure it out. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. I'll figure it out. If it comes off, I'll put it back on, but I'm not gluing anything to my head.
All right, that's not a thing. You hear that, everyone?
Cyberdoc says duct tape. Um, Maybe some double-sided tape or something. Maybe some. Mary Brown says Velcro.
You'd have to glue the Velcro strap to your head then.
Do you think the energy prices will affect the entire country? If you're referring to the video I did earlier, where I talked about people's electric bills, um, it's not going to affect the entire country. Um, it's going to affect, if you've seen your electric bill go up a lot in the last year, then it is going to affect you, because all of the reasons your bill has been going up are about to be compounded, right? So if you're experiencing that, then you're one of the people that will be affected. I'm not experiencing that. Electricity is pretty cheap where I live, so not likely to be a thing where I live. I do expect my bill to go up a little bit, but I'm talking to people whose bill is going to probably potentially double this month over last month, right? So Canada has the best squeaky cheese. Huh. Is there any truth to us getting eggs from Turkey? I don't know. I can't answer that. If anybody else knows, please feel free to answer that question. I haven't heard anything about getting eggs from Turkey. Merlot says our energy bill doubled last month. Yeah, it's going to be higher next month. Cyberdoc says Wisconsin has the best squeaky cheese. Tojo wants to know, is it the country turkey or the bird? Is your money safe in the banks? Up to $250,000 per account is safe, is insured by the FDIC. I don't know what squeaky cheese is either. Jill, do you know what squeaky cheese is?
No, but I love cheese, and I would like to know what that is.
I love Tillamook cheese. Let's be honest. I don't care where the cheese comes from. I'm going to eat it.
Oh, cheese curds? Okay. Someone says squeaky cheese is cheese curds.
High quality cheese curds, according to Jingleheimer. Is squeaky cheese good for mice? It's the cheese they use in poutine.
I have
Will
recently learned what that is.
Tana Flores wants to know if it will affect oil. No, it will not. It's natural, specifically natural gas. But if your electricity is generated, if your utility company that provides you electricity, if they use natural gas to generate electricity, it will affect you. Tillamook is fantastic. I visited the Tillamook cheese factory, or whatever the hell you call it. I visited. Where was that? I think it was in Oregon or Washington. I don't remember, but I know I was there. That is correct. Squeaky cheese will not affect oil prices.
Are we sure about that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's in Oregon. Okay. Yeah, I went to the Tillamook place. Tillamook isn't sharp enough. I would agree with that. I like my cheese extremely sharp. I've also been to the Tabasco uh, place in Louisiana. Why doesn't the fluctuating price of oil make the cost of motor oil go up or down? Because there's not a lot of crude in motor oil, actually. Yeah. Good afternoon, David. And
The story you were going to tell us yesterday, not to interrupt you, but I'm interrupting you. The story you were going to tell us yesterday, maybe people would like to hear that.
what story?
I don't know, because you said you'll leave it for today.
I already did that. I already covered that. That was Project Gas Buggy.
Okay, Project Gas Buggy. Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure.
You just want to hear a story, huh?
Um, well, we do like your stories, but
They're not my stories. I didn't
well,
write these stories.
they're your stories when you're telling them, right?
A lot of them are Paul Harvey stories.
That's fine.
They're just good stories I found that I like to read occasionally. Please tell us how this is going to end. I don't know. I don't know. Regarding your video about the drilling ban, is there even any oil there to drill for? There is. There is oil. So off of the west coast of Florida, right, and south of the Florida Panhandle, and in the eastern part of the Gulf of Mexico. In addition, also, or I should have said, did I say off the west coast of Florida? I think I said east coast, but east coast too, and Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, up the east coast. There's oil there too, but the reason that's been banned for so long is because each side of Florida, right, whether you're on the west coast or east coast of Florida itself, that's where all the rich people live, right? If you live on the west coast of Florida, east coast of Florida, or on the coast of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, if you live on the beach, right, you're probably rich. Rich people don't want to see offshore wind farms. Rich people don't want to see oil platforms. That's why that's been banned for so many years. It has nothing to do with whether there's oil there or not. People say, well, they banned drilling off the west coast and east coast of Florida, mostly the west coast of Florida, for fishing. Well, they fish, they fish everywhere it's not banned. They fish everywhere we drill. It has nothing to do with fish. It has to do with rich people looking at what they're looking at. And they're over there like, hey, I didn't buy this $20 million beachfront property to sit here and look at an oil platform. So we don't put any there, right? Those places that have been banned off the west coast of Florida, the Keys, the Florida Keys, There's a ton of old wells there because we used to drill there. There's a lot of natural gas there. There's a lot of oil and natural gas in the Keys. There's a lot of old wells there that don't produce anymore. Um, it's not about there being oil there or not. It's about people that have money not wanting to look at it. That's literally what it's about. It's all it's about. The people offshore Louisiana, you know, they got to look at it. Mississippi, yeah, you got to look at it. Florida, no, you don't need to look at it. Donald Trump was fine with windmills until Scotland put them up in view of his golf course. That's true. They just put a ton of windmills off Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. I guess the wealthy liberal types in Massachusetts are okay with it, says Ryan. $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Ryan. Yes, they are okay with it. Not only are they okay with it, they invest in it, right? And there have been multiple offshore wind projects in that area, farther south, um, that have gone bankrupt and failed. But yeah, the whatever you want to call them, the wealthy liberals, they don't mind windmills, offshore wind. Thank you so much for the super chat, Ryan. I really appreciate it. Yakety says, old New England money. That's true. If you're watching on TikTok, I am streaming on YouTube, Mr. Global. You can go over there and find me, subscribe. The chat is slower on YouTube. You're more likely to get your questions seen. Fiberglass is very nasty, yes. Thank you for coming in, Real Bill. They are not liking all the fiberglass washing up on the shore of Martha's Vineyard. I haven't heard about that. Fiberglass and foam continue to wash ashore. Yeah, Martha's Vineyard. The Nantucket Land and Water Council has raised concerns over the potential long-term environmental consequences of the fiberglass and foam. The town of Nantucket is considering taking legal action against Vineyard Wind. Wow. That was from a 107-meter, wow, that's long, or approximately 117-yard blade on one of the turbines broke 20 meters from its root, but still remained largely attached. A large chunk of the blade fell into the water. Thank you so much. That was loud. Thank you for the snowflakes. Thank you for bringing that up. Was that Brian that brought that up? Yeah, I hadn't heard of that. Nantucket at one time had to close its beaches for swimming as large quantities of sharp, non-toxic fiberglass and insulation foam were collected. The town was able to reopen the beach later. What the hell is non-toxic? I don't think there's any such thing as non-toxic fiberglass. I've never heard of that. All the fiberglass I've ever dealt with was very toxic. But I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm just saying. I've never heard of non-toxic fiberglass. Concerned citizen says it's better than an oil spill. Well, I'm not saying it's not better than an oil spill. Are we not allowed to talk about fiberglass because it's wind energy? I mean, someone brought it up and I looked it up. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands, millions of oil seeps in the oceans. Oil seeps naturally into the ocean from below the surface. Millions of barrels of oil a day around the world. I'm back, Daddy Global. Please don't call me Daddy. Don't call me Daddy Global, please. I mean, that's not a thing. Daria. Is there a difference between California gas and gas sold in Maricopa County? No, that's basically the same gas. Maricopa County has the same clean burning fuel that they have in California, right? So it's I know, I know you're kidding, Daria. Uh, no, they use the same gas. That's why it's so expensive in Maricopa County too, right? Henry. David, who comes in quite a bit, says microplastics are posing a bigger risk to our ocean ecosystem and food supply chain. So Daria, just so you know, you didn't traumatize me. You may have traumatized some other people, but I'm fine. Uh, Brian says we got some new executive orders signed. I can't wait to see what that is. Living Plucky says it's sticking. Globe Daddy. Hashtag Globe Daddy. Um, Thank you, Rich. Uh, if you're ever here on TikTok, please don't forget to gift the moderator. She's here volunteering to help out. Please gift the moderator. Thank you guys so much. Mr. Global, why is diesel the top tier fuel now? It's more expensive than premium gas. That is because diesel runs the economy and gasoline runs cars. Diesel is an industrial fuel, right? Um, it runs a lot of things. And so as the economy grows, the demand for diesel grows and it becomes more and more and more expensive. Diesel drives the economy, gasoline drives cars. Keep that in your hat. I just delegated myself executive this morning. I can't wait to start making orders. Every single one of us has microplastics in us right now. Well, that's just lovely. I love that. I and they tell me I can't drink a Monster. I'm full of microplastics, but I can't drink a Monster. Are the Canadian big oil, RA, big player in the U.S. oil world? I don't know. Maybe we should all be driving diesel electric vehicles. If you're over here on TikTok, please, I'm streaming currently on YouTube. Go give me a follow on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. It's completely free. Do you think OPEC Plus is trying to position to collapse oil production? I don't. I don't think OPEC or OPEC Plus is trying to collapse U.S. oil production. OPEC is solidly within. So Saudi Arabia has a thing called Vision 2030. Vision 2030, and they're trying to diversify their entire economy. And they're actually trying to move away from being dependent on fossil fuels to fund their country, their society, and everything else. They desperately need oil to be 70, 75 bucks a barrel to accomplish their vision for 2030. I don't think they are going to start another price war with the United States. I have heard that some people have as much as a spoon full of microplastics inside them. That's fantastic. Yeah. Teaspoon or tablespoon? Brian says, I build infrastructure. A lot of sewer treatment plants are now starting to remove this too. I'm assuming he's still talking about microplastics. So they're catching it. And from what I'm reading here from Brian, it seems like they're catching it in sewer treatment systems and plants. And, you know, that's how they determine a lot of things is through the sewer. Viruses, the flu, things like that. They can see all this stuff in the sewer. They can see what's going on by looking at our waste, basically. We eat 20 spiders a year while sleeping, so that offsets the plastic. Trump might remove sanctions on Venezuela in case Canada shuts oil off. Well, that's great, but Venezuela cannot produce anything in the universe of being close to what Canada sends to us every day. So, Mr. Global asked you a few days ago, I am sorry, Killer, I have not read that yet. I'm going to put it down in my notes. I'm going to read that article by Ross Belote. Let me get into my notes here. I do take notes. Okay. Could you expand more on your recent post about power costs going up specifically? Well, because natural gas prices are rising, and believe they're about to rise significantly more due to inventory levels and the current cold snap we're in. And natural gas prices are playing a large part in rising utility bills across the country. That and the fact that they're charging people an arm and a leg for delivery charges. Um, so if you live in an area where you've experienced a lot of increase in your specifically your electric bill or natural gas, that this week the weather that is occurring this week, record cold temperatures across the whole country. Um, that's going to exacerbate that problem a lot, and it could be very significant in localized areas where if they have issues getting gas. How much power is generated by Ukrainian nuclear facilities? I have no idea how much power Ukrainian nuclear facilities produce. Energy prices are going up to pay for Bitcoin mining and AI. Yeah, a lot of data centers. You know, we're using a lot of gas right now, a lot of natural gas. Who gets the money for the sand they are mining in Watanga? Is it mineral rights or surface rights? So both. Both. Yeah. Um, the surface will get the surface. Like, you know, the surface owner will likely get the top foot, and the mineral rights owner will get everything below that. So if they mine down, 50 feet, the mineral rights owner is going to get 49 feet, right? And I am basing that off of prior. I am basing that off of prior decisions made in courts over who gets what concerning surface rights and mineral rights. That's what I'm basing that off of. There could be something contractually that's different that the parties agreed to, but if it came down to what the state says, if it came down to some type of litigation, that's typically how the state rules. Surface owner would get the top foot, mineral rights owner gets everything below that. So unless, like I said, there's something different in their contract that they have all agreed to, then I would guess that they wrote those contracts also based on prior litigation and court rulings. Aloysius says Ukraine lost their largest nuclear power generation. Do I think natural gas prices will come back down over the summer? It depends. It's going to depend largely on the weather. They will come down some in the spring because we'll have moderate, mild weather that's not too hot, right? But a lot of it depends on how far below the 5-year average range we get to before we get into summer. And a lot of that will depend on how much inventory we're able to build. So summertime we build up a lot of natural gas inventory, and wintertime we use it all. That's how it works. But we can look at how much we build over the summer to determine if we're going to have shortages in the winter. One of the things that is contributing to what's happening right now is with very hot summers and very high electricity demand because of the very hot temperatures, we haven't built up as much inventory during the summers. So when you go into winter with lower inventory and then you have really cold weather, so if we have a really hot summer, I don't expect natural gas prices to move much. They will likely go down to around 350. If we come out of summer with natural gas at 350, you could be looking at $5 natural gas next winter. And it just depends on how hot the summer is, and it's going to depend on how cold the winter is, and it's also going to depend on if we have seasonal change. One thing I've noticed here recently is we tend to go from summer to winter and from winter to summer, and we don't have much time in between. We don't have a lot of fall and we don't have a lot of spring. It's one extreme to the next. So the longer we have mild temperatures, the longer we have a spring, the better it will be for natural gas prices. The longer we have a fall, the better it is for natural gas prices. If we jump into summer really quickly, if we have like 1 week of spring and then suddenly it's summertime and it's 100 degrees, that's going to be an issue. That's going to be an issue. At what point will high natural gas prices keep electric companies from building new natural gas power plants? They don't. They don't, because they're able to pass that cost on to along to their customers. Um, so they don't. Hi, Moby from Nova Scotia. Um, what kind of heating system would you buy for your house if you had to buy one today? If I was buying one for my house, and so there's a lot of things that go into that. Um, where I live, based on where I live and what the utility bills and all that would be, I would go with natural gas. That doesn't mean that that's what everyone should do, depending on where they live, you know. But I would go with natural gas for where I live. Yeah, you really need to, people that are making these purchases, you really need to look at where you live. A lot of people have a favorite source, right, automatically, but that can change drastically depending on where you live. Yeah, I would definitely not go with oil or a boiler. Mr. Global, with your expertise, are you moving out of the U.S.? If no, I'm not moving out of the U.S. Wouldn't geothermal be good for you in the southern half of the U.S.? There's a lot of places where geothermal would be really good, and it would be pretty good for me right now where I'm at. But I'm not willing to spend today. I'm not willing to spend that money on geothermal. I get a natural gas unit significantly cheaper. Um, Why is natural gas supply low? Well, we hit record natural gas production. 2022, 2023, record natural gas production. We were producing more natural gas than we'd ever produced, than any country had ever produced in history. And we also had 3 consecutive, very mild winters. So we didn't use a ton. We were producing a lot more natural gas than we were using. And it drove natural gas prices down to like $1.50. And because of that, natural gas producers pulled back. So we're no longer producing a record amount of natural gas. It became uneconomical. The gas producers were losing money. Our production dropped a little bit. Our exports, our LNG exports, increased quite a bit. And then between the hot summers, which have kept inventories low, so now what we've just had is we've had a very hot summer that preceded this winter, which has been very cold, and that has driven down inventories significantly. Matthew Smith says, as an appraiser, and if I had the money, geothermal and solar would be optimum. We are in the real estate business as well, and that's not true for, at least in our experience. Appraisers aren't really giving anyone value for solar. They do for geothermal, but not for solar, at least where I live. Why does a hot summer equal lower production? A hot summer doesn't equal lower production. A hot summer equals higher consumption during the summer, right? Very hot, generating and consuming a lot of electricity to run air conditioners. And so what happens is during the summer, when you're supposed to build up all of your inventories for winter, is you don't build up as much, right? So the amount of inventory you're able to add during the summer to prepare for winter is reduced because of power demand during very hot summers. So hot summers don't impact production, they increase consumption. Yes, for air conditioners. Any thoughts on the potential revival of the Energy East pipeline? I don't have my I'm not super well versed in Canadian politics. I know they're talking about it, but I don't feel like I can give a good sort of synopsis of the possibility of that pipeline either happening or not. If I lived in Canada and was more involved and understood all the people involved and all that, I could. So, I don't know much more about that than anybody else. I know they're talking about it. And I know that, I do know that if they're going to do it, if they're ever going to do it, if they don't do it now with everything that's going on now, then they're not ever going to do it. If they don't do it now, they're never going to do it. What else would you need to happen for you to decide to do that, right? So we'll just have to see. Matthew says, no, not value-wise, just a good system, right? Neither system is worth the money because of the time to recoup. Yeah, you don't, typically when it comes to real estate, you don't get a ton of value for things like swimming pools, shops. You get some value for it, but you don't get your money back on it, right? Thank you, Mason. Don't forget to like and share the live. Thanks. YouTube crowd is the best. Look at Jill playing up to the crowd. It's another note I need to take. The reason Eastern Canada reduced taking all energy from the West was in the 80s. The West threatened to cut off supply, so they went offshore from the East for a large percentage of energy. Thank you for that, Aloysius. What is the process of liquefying natural gas? So you have to cool it, right? You have to cool it to, what is it, 200? 200, 250, 260 degrees Fahrenheit, negative. So you have to cool it to about 260 degrees, negative 260 degrees, right? And when you do that, it shrinks by 600 times in size. And then you have to keep it at that temperature until you return it to its gaseous state. And you have to do that, that transition back to gas very slowly, right? Congress may remove the $7,500 EV credit with Elon's involvement. Do you think that will happen? I think there's a very good chance that happens. They've said they're going to do it. They've said they're going to do it. And, you know, Elon wants them to do it because he thinks he has a competitive advantage over the market, and that he believes that it's his competition that needs those credits much more than he does because he's much more well established. So Elon Musk is taking the position that getting rid of subsidies for electric vehicles would actually be better for him, even though he sells electric vehicles. Um, so I do believe there's a very good chance that that can happen. And the way that subsidy was paid out, you basically got that taken off the sticker price of the car. So you realized the full value of that subsidy at the point of purchase. So if you go, you know, if you go to buy an EV and let's say it's 50 grand, you know, you walk in there and it's 42.5 immediately with the subsidy. And then if there's any other rebates or sales or anything like that. So people were going in buying a $50,000 car for, I don't know, 40, because they would get the subsidy, and then there's usually some type of rebate or sale going on. And that did spur EV sales. Now, last year in 2024, EV sales did not increase significantly at all over 2023. They were pretty flat. So I've I'm this yeah, I've only seen a couple of Cybertrucks. Thank you, Mary. Thank you for the comments, Mary. You're not following me. You may have been unfollowed by TikTok. I'm also on YouTube as well. Look at Mr. Global. You can find me over there and follow me there. I'm migrating towards YouTube every day. Ryan says you can apply the subsidies to leases. Wait a couple of years. The used market will be incredibly cheap. We only have, in my entire town, I think we have maybe 2 EVs. Of course, I live in Oklahoma. Thank you, Mary. Brian says we're seeing more measles cases. That's great. Let's look that up. What is this crap? Is that true? Are Cybertrucks banned in Europe? If someone was to build a house in a sunny area, would you go with solar? I would certainly consider it. The Trump administration has announced plans to significantly reduce Iran's oil exports, potentially down to 100,000 barrels per day, through a renewed maximum pressure campaign. The aggressive move aims to cripple Iran's economy by severely limiting its oil revenues. Iran has a history of successfully circumventing sanctions, raising questions about the effectiveness of the order. So that's not being reflected in the market, right? So the market isn't reflecting any confidence that our administration will be successful in enforcing these sanctions, and that tells you a lot. When the market, when the administration in the United States does something like that and it's not reflected in the market, that says a lot right there. He is reducing Iran's imports to 100,000 into the USA. No, he's wanting to reduce their exports down to 100,000 barrels total, right? It's not about imports into the United States. It's about reducing their total exports, which are currently at I think around 1.5 million barrels a day. I can tell you, if the market believed that that was a thing, that would definitely be reflected in oil prices, and it hasn't been. What does that mean? It is not reflected in the market. So when the president of the United States comes out and says, right, this country, which is exporting 1.5 million barrels of oil a day, or roughly 1.5% of total crude production globally, when the president of the United States comes out and says we're about to reduce that by over 90%, that should be reflected in the market, which means there should be a significant bump in oil prices in the market because you're about to pull as much as 1.5 million barrels a day off the market. You're about to take that off the market, right? So we're not seeing anything happen with oil prices. There's no sentiment, right? There's no confidence that that's going to happen. If there was any confidence that's going to happen, we would already see it reflected in increasing oil prices, even though it hasn't occurred yet, and it's something that's going to occur. So the market is taking a wait and see approach, right? The market is saying, we don't believe you, we have to see it to believe it. And that's what I mean by it's not reflected in the market. It's not reflected in the price of oil. If the market believed that that was about to happen or about to begin, we would already be seeing price increases, right? So that's what I'm talking about, not reflected in the market. Hi, Candace. Candace just joined. Are you talking about U.S. reducing exports, or is that reducing imports from Canada? I'm talking about the administration trying to reduce exports from Iran. That's what I'm talking about at the moment. I'm talking about a lot of stuff, but that's what I'm talking about at the moment. Thank you, Scott. And a good example of things being reflected in the market. Anytime there's conflict overseas, before it has any real impact on oil supply, we see oil prices jump all the time, right? We see oil prices jump significantly all the time. The littlest thing can make oil prices jump. That didn't make oil prices jump. So that tells you a lot about what the people who buy and sell oil contracts, what they think about Donald Trump's sanctions. They don't think it's a thing, is what it means, right? Because you get a lot of buyers, right? You get a lot of buyers. They're trying to buy ahead of the price increase, and they literally create the price increase by buying. So, oh, what did Rich do?
Well, Rich wrote a big giant sign that said Trump in the chat. He's just a spammer. Rich is blocked on my account too. Probably by you.
Juju says, so that means the market thinks Trump is full of shit. Basically, yeah. Basically. Pete says reduce exports from Bangladesh. Say no to jute. I don't know what jute is, Pete. Thank you, Candace. Do American talkers make money for lives? I like to leave videos running while I'm doing other things. They don't. No, they don't get paid for just being live. They get gifts and stuff, and I think there may be some bonuses or something. I'm not. It's not. It's not like YouTube. Pete says random squirrel thoughts. Which countries should form a similar thing like OPEC? The United States, Canada, Mexico, Australia, Brazil, Guyana, um, trying to think of what other South American, Chile, Peru. Um, yeah. Who else? There's probably someone else, but basically, those countries. Thank you, Chris. Yes, Argentina. Venezuela is a member of OPEC Plus, or actually, they're a member of OPEC. Right? Is it OPEC Plus or OPEC? It's one or the other. They're a member of OPEC, but yeah, Lucius. I don't know if any ads are running on my YouTube stream right now because I'm streaming through software now that. Hello, Raphael. Mexico does not have significant oil resources. Mexico is our second largest resource for imported oil. They actually have a fair amount. Yeah. Thank you, Candace. If the U.S. doesn't get Canadian oil, can their own domestic production keep up? Well, we have oil in the strategic reserve, but we can also source the oil from other nations. But Not really. How long do you expect natural gas to be so expensive? It's really not super expensive. It's just that we came out of a period of really cheap natural gas prices. Natural gas prices right now are, I would say, slightly above average, but not much. Slightly, but not much. Like it's. Do I think Trump is full of shit? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. What chemical do you put in gas wells to keep them from freezing? Methanol. You can use methanol or glycol. Um, yeah. Um, but we use methanol. You know that, Scott. I think you know that. Hey, there's Nadia. Hi, Nadia. So, Nadia, I wanted to tell you something. Mary B. or Mary Brown, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, Mary. I really appreciate that. Um, but back to Nadia. Are you listening, Nadia? I wanted to tell you something. It is not true at all, Nadia, that I've gotten too big to be in your lives. That's not true at all. I was just tired. I was just tired. And I was going to bed. So I'm going to bed and I get on TikTok and I was coming over there just to say goodnight because I was going to bed. And I go into the live and Nadia's he's he's too big to be in our lives anymore. And Julie's like, no, I think he's just tired. Yeah, I heard that. I heard that.
I will admit, I thought it was funny that she said it.
Oh, I did
I'm not.
too. I was laughing. I was laughing. Fuzzard says, you didn't say hi to me. I see how it is between us. Unmod me first, and now not even a hello.
No, you need to mod him, please. I tried to invite him yesterday so he can get it done, but
Mr. Global, as far as your circle of friends, business associates, or others, do they give you flack for your opinions on Trump? No, they do not. No, they do not. Um, my interactions with people in real life regarding politics are no different than they are on the internet. And what that means is that people don't talk politics around me in real life. Because they know what's about to happen if they do. Yeah, we are old guys, that's for sure. How close was Russia to defeat without Trump's intervention? I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Was the Gulf of Mexico name change strictly to bypass Biden's freeze on drilling? No. Uh, there was already a ban in place by Donald Trump. When Donald Trump banned drilling in the Gulf of Mexico in the exact same place that Joe Biden did, Donald Trump had banned drilling in the Gulf of Mexico until the year 2032. Biden just extended it, right? The ban that existed under the Trump administration still exists. It's the exact same ban. It's the same place in the Gulf of Mexico. It's the far eastern part of the Gulf. The rest of the Gulf, there is no drilling ban, right? This whole thing is a crock of shit. The ban that exists in the Gulf of Mexico today is the same ban that has existed in the Gulf of Mexico for like 30 years. This entire thing, this whole entire thing, is a scam that people are falling for because politicians know that people don't know any better. I saw your video on natural gas prices going up. Don't most states have price increase regulations? Not on natural gas. Natural gas is a commodity and there's no price caps, right? There's no price caps on natural gas. Juju wants to know if we're doomed. I've done a whole series of videos on why we're doomed, but they were more humorous than serious. But you know, I don't know. So what utility companies charge, right? What utility companies charge is, you know, they get a rate increase to charge so much, right, per kilowatt hour, right? But they have other charges on there too. They have other charges on there too, and one of the charges they have on there that reflects increasing natural gas prices is called a supply charge. It's called a supply charge, and that is when the cost of your supplies increase. That increases. So there's nothing in place, really, to prevent your utility bill from going up when natural gas prices go up, unless the utility company hedges and they buy natural gas for a year under contract for a set price, for a fixed price. Some companies do that. If that occurs, then your utility bill should not be largely impacted. But that's not the case with a lot of people. And I would like to point out that when Donald Trump changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, he has never said one time, Donald Trump has never said one time that he was doing that to get around the ban. He's never said that. That was some shit that Trump supporters just dreamed up. They have to believe that he's playing chess, so they dream up reasons why he does shit, and then they put it out there as facts. He's never said that. He's never once said that he's changing the name to get around the ban. He literally just established an energy commission to try to get around the ban. just the other day. What will cause natural gas to fall below the 5 year average? Well, we're using more. We're we're using more and exporting more than we're producing, and we're putting in inventory. So inventories are reducing, right? February 7th report, I believe inventories for natural gas in the United States fell by roughly 100 billion cubic feet. Um, the next storage report is going to show another significant drop, which they should be dropping at this time of year. So they can drop and still stay within the 5 year average, but not the report that's coming out in a couple of days. But that report is going to show a drop. But the report that comes out after that, the report that will come out after this week of cold weather, there's going to be a massive drop in inventory due to record cold temperatures across the country. That's going to cause that's likely to cause us to fall well below the 5 year average. Wasn't the ban an executive order? Why does he need to get around the ban? He doesn't need to get around the ban because it's the same ban that has existed forever. The ban has never caused us any issues with drilling or production in the Gulf of Mexico. So he really doesn't need to get around the ban. But the reason the ban is difficult to get around is because it's not an executive order just on its own. It's an executive order tied to a piece of legislation that was passed many, many years ago. I think it's the Continental Shelf Act that gives the president the authority to ban certain areas from the production of natural resources in those areas. So this is tied. There is a piece of legislation, right, that exists that grants the president this authority. There's nothing in that piece of legislation that grants another president to reverse anything that president did, right? And that's why it's not, even though it was done with an executive order, it was done so with an executive order that was tied to a piece of legislation, which granted the president the power in that executive order to do that. So this isn't something that was just dreamed up and just some willy-nilly random executive order. This was an executive order that was designed through legislation to be enacted. And that makes it different, right? And that's why Donald Trump can't just reverse it. He can and has issued an executive order to reverse it, and that will go to the courts and it will likely be overturned because the first time Donald Trump became the president of the United States, that exact same ban existed, right? When Donald Trump became the president in 2017, the ban we're still talking about today existed, and he issued an executive order to reverse it. And they went to court and he lost. So the ban stayed. The ban stayed throughout his whole presidency. And then in 2020, near the end of his presidency, when he was running for president again, he expanded the ban, he made it larger, and he extended it out to 2032. So he was against the ban before he was for the ban, right? And then he was against the ban again. So he's got 2 times he's against the ban, 1 time he's for the ban, and 1 time he did the ban himself. So Donald Trump is the ultimate flip-flopper on this ban. And keep in mind, this is the exact same ban. The ban that exists today is the same ban from 2017. Same ban from 2020, same ban from 2022, same ban from 2025. Same ban. He hates it, he loves it, he hates it, he loves it. It's the end of the world. Unless he's the one enacting the exact same ban. Like it is absolutely nuts. And the fact that so many people in this country fall for this shit just tells you how little they actually know about what's going on within our government and within our politicians in the United States. They just listen to whatever some dipshit says and they run with it. They don't actually know what's going on. Thank you so much for the gifts, you guys. If you consider the fact that there's probably, I don't know, there's probably 70 million Trump supporters right now who are livid over this drilling ban. And they don't know. They don't know that it's a ban that Donald Trump instituted himself. And they don't care. They only care when the opposition does something. They don't care when their guy does it. It's only bad when the opposition does it. It's never bad when their guy. It'd be the exact same thing. Jill says the president of the API was not happy with Biden. And you know what? I have to give the API credit. When Donald Trump extended that exact same ban in the Gulf of Mexico, the API called out Donald Trump too. But you know what? If it doesn't come from Donald Trump's mouth, then it didn't happen when we're talking about Donald Trump supporters. The president of the API, the exact same person you're talking about, came out heavily against Donald Trump when he instituted that ban in 2020. But you know what happens? So, and this is what drives me batshit crazy. Donald Trump comes out and bans drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. And nobody knows about it. Nobody knows about it at all because Republicans certainly aren't going to talk about it. And Democrats aren't going to talk about it. You know why? Because they can never be seen as someone who supports. That ban is something that Democrats 1,000% support. And they support it when Donald Trump does it, and they support it when Joe Biden does it. But they don't talk about it. They don't want to give him credit publicly, right? So the Democrats didn't say anything publicly when Donald Trump banned drilling. So since the Democrats didn't say anything, and since the Republicans didn't say anything, and since Donald Trump certainly wasn't going to say anything, and it wasn't on the news, nobody even knows it happened, right? The number of people in this country that actually know that's a thing, more people know that that's a thing because of me than because of anybody else. It's madness. And if you show Republicans that Donald Trump did it, they don't believe you. And then when you show them the video of him saying he did it, then it's fake. And when you show him the tweets of when he's bragging about doing it, then that's fake. And every single piece of evidence, when you show them articles, when you show them the API coming out against it, that's fake. Everything you show them is fake. Hello, Tony. Thank you for coming in. Hi, Joan. Had to make sure Joan was still a moderator. and and I turned on some other moderator thing for you as well, Joan. How can Trump make gas go back under $2 a gallon? Uh, Completely collapse the global economy. That's about the only way he can do it. According to reports, we are supposed to spend $4 trillion on LNG projects. Do you think that's happening? No, that's not happening. That's not happening. The total value of all of the LNG projects that are currently approved is not greater than $200 billion. I can tell you that. So I don't know where the $4 trillion comes from. It sounds a lot like the Canadians who keep saying that Justin Trudeau turned down $1 trillion deal, LNG deal. That's not a thing. China would have to buy LNG from Canada for like 260 years. I did the math, but it was like 250 or 260 years for that to become a $1 trillion deal. It's it was interesting to see Canadians be as bad at math as Americans were because I keep hearing about this $1 trillion deal, which is not a thing. It's not a thing at all. I'm sure it was published in some Canadian media outlet or some Canadian politician said it was a $1 trillion deal, but there's no such thing as a $1 trillion LNG deal. That's not a thing. That's a lot of money. $1 trillion is a lot of money. I, I guess people don't understand this, like what the number a trillion represents, but it's a lot. It's a lot. May have been talking about a trillion cubic feet of gas. Yeah, it may have been a trillion cubic feet of gas. How about a cajillion-dollar deal? BP says our entire GDP is less than $3 trillion. Can you imagine? I cannot imagine. I'll have two of those gazillion-dollar deals, says Tony. He'll have two of those. Mr. Global is only saying this on YouTube because the Dems paid him a cajillion dollars. Alicia says, "Well, Wall Street trades over $1 trillion a day, right?" I'm not. I don't know if that's. I don't know how much a day that Wall Street trades. I know the total value of the market in the United States is like $55 trillion. I know that, somewhere around there, but I don't know. Uh, I'm sure you're right. I'm I'm sure it is $1 trillion a day. If the world stops buying made in the USA, can the domestic market sustain itself? Um, I don't know. Probably not. Does the African continent have oil? Yeah, the African continent has a significant amount of oil. Uh, a lot of people believe that the next huge oil discovery is going to be on the African continent. Can you tell us on YouTube how you came up with your handle? I actually cannot take credit for that. A troll came up with my handle. I don't remember what my name used to be. I had some random name, but I had some troll that started calling me Mr. Global, and I'm not sure how long that occurred. But at some point, I just changed my name to it. So some troll. Some troll is responsible for my name. Jonathan, I've seen this stat before. A million seconds is 11 days and 14 hours. A billion seconds is 31 years and 9 months. A trillion seconds is 31,710 years. That's true. I've seen that before. Um, yes, Nigeria has a shit ton of oil, but it's a very unstable country. Um, I I'm changed the name to not Bob. I think I'm going to stick with Mr. Global. All right, everyone. Well, I'm going to wrap it up for the day. Jill,
All right.
where you been?
Huh?
Where you been?
Here. Reading the chats and dealing with people.
Thank you for helping today again, Jill.
Oh, wait, we gotta shut up this little guy down in the chat. Okay, he's shut up now. He wanted shut up, so I did that for him.
Uh, Everyone, thank you so much for joining again today. Thank you again, Jill. I'm going to wrap it up. I got stuff to do. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone, for the gifts.